village surrounded by lush green fields and sparkling rivers, there lived a kind-hearted farmer named Arlo. Arlo was not wealthy, but he was known far and wide for his honesty and willingness to help anyone in need. His little home was a modest hut, and he owned a small patch of land where he grew vegetables and grains to sustain himself. Arlo worked hard from dawn until dusk, but despite his efforts, his harvest was often small. One sunny morning, as he was digging in his field to plant seeds, his shovel struck something hard with a loud clang. What could this be? Arlo wondered, brushing aside the dirt. To his surprise, he uncovered a large, ancient-looking clay pot. The pot was covered with intricate carvings of vines and flowers that shimmered faintly in the sunlight. It looked mysterious and beautiful, yet it seemed out of place in the soil. This must be very old, Arlo thought. Perhaps it belonged to someone long ago. I'll clean it and keep it in my hut. It's too pretty to leave here. Arlo lifted the pot and carried it home. As he set it down on his table, he noticed that the pot was heavier than it seemed. Peeking inside, he found it empty, but there was a faint, golden glow coming from its base. Intrigued, he decided to scrub it clean to reveal its full beauty. A magical discovery. As Arlo scrubbed the pot, something astonishing happened. The glow inside the pot grew brighter, and suddenly, the pot began to hum softly. Startled, Arlo took a step back. The pot rattled, and with a gentle puff of golden mist, the tiny, cheerful voice came from inside. "Thank you for freeing me, kind soul," the voice said. Arlo blinked in surprise. "Who's there?" Out of the pot floated a tiny, glowing figure. It was a little spirit, no bigger than a teacup, with sparkling wings and a warm smile. "I am the guardian of this magic pot," the spirit said. "For centuries, I have waited for someone pure of heart to find me. You have released me, and in return, I grant you the pot's blessings." Arlo was astonished. "Magic? Blessings? What does the pot do?" The spirit giggled. "This is no ordinary pot. It has the power to multiply whatever is placed inside. If you put 1 coin, it will give you 2. If you place 2 apples, it will give you 4. Use it wisely, for greed and dishonesty can break its magic." Arlo couldn't believe his ears. He looked at the pot with newfound wonder. "Thank you," he said earnestly. "I promise to use this gift with care." The first test. That evening, Arlo decided to test the pot's magic. He placed a single grain of rice inside and waited. Within moments, the pot glowed, and 2 grains of rice appeared. Overjoyed, Arlo placed the 2 grains back, and soon, he had 4. He continued this until he had a bowl full of rice, enough for a hearty meal. "This is incredible," he exclaimed. "With this pot, I can ensure I'll never go hungry again." The next day, Arlo tried the pot with coins. He had only 1 silver coin left, but after a few rounds of placing and removing it, he had enough coins to buy seeds, tools, and even a new pair of shoes. Word of Arlo's improved fortune spread quickly through the village. Curious neighbors asked him how he had suddenly come into wealth. Arlo, not wanting to reveal the secret of the pot, simply said, "Hard work and a bit of luck." Sharing the blessing. Arlo's heart was too kind to keep the pot's magic all to himself. He used its powers to help others in the village. When a poor widow needed food for her children, Arlo used the pot to multiply grains and delivered sacks of rice to her doorstep. When an old carpenter couldn't afford wood to repair his broken tools, Arlo multiplied coins and left them anonymously at his door. The villagers were grateful but puzzled. "Arlo is so generous," they said. "How does he have so much to give?" Despite his newfound wealth, Arlo continued to live humbly, working in his fields and helping others whenever he could. The magic pot brought him joy not because it made him rich, but because it allowed him to spread kindness. The greedy merchant. One day, a traveling merchant named Cedric arrived in the village. Cedric was known for his greed and cunning. He sold goods at high prices and took advantage of those in need. When he heard rumors of Arlo's sudden prosperity, he became suspicious. How can a poor farmer like Arlo become so wealthy? Cedric muttered. He must have a secret, and I will find out. Cedric visited Arlo, pretending to be friendly. Dear Arlo, he said, I've heard of your generosity. You've been helping so many people. Tell me, how do you manage it? Arlo smiled modestly. I've been fortunate, Cedric. Sometimes, good things happen when you least expect them. Cedric wasn't satisfied with this answer. That night, he crept to Arlo's hut and peered through the window. To his amazement, he saw Arlo using the magic pot to multiply grains and coins. Aha! Cedric whispered. That's his secret. If I had that pot, I'd be the richest man in the land. Theft and trouble. Determined to steal the pot, Cedric waited until Arlo went to the fields the next day. Sneaking into the hut, Cedric grabbed the pot and ran off, cackling with glee. When Arlo returned home and found the pot missing, he was heartbroken. Who could have done this, he wondered. Though he was upset, he decided not to accuse anyone without proof. Meanwhile, Cedric wasted no time testing the pot's magic. He placed a gold coin inside, and soon, he had 2. Greedy for more, he placed the 2 coins back, then 4, then 8. Overcome with excitement, he began stuffing the pot with all sorts of valuables, jewels, food, and even furniture. But the pot wasn't meant for greed. As Cedric overloaded it, the golden glow dimmed, and the pot began to shake. Suddenly, with a loud crack, the pot split in 2, its magic disappearing in a puff of smoke. No! Cedric cried, staring at the broken pieces. What have I done? A lesson learned. Realizing he had ruined the pot, Cedric was filled with guilt. He returned to Arlo's hut and confessed everything. I was blinded by greed, he said, handing over the broken pot. I'm so sorry, Arlo. I've destroyed your treasure. Arlo looked at the broken pot and sighed. It's true that the pot was special, but its real magic wasn't in making me rich. It was in helping others. Perhaps this is a lesson for both of us. Cedric hung his head in shame. You're right, Arlo. I see now that greed only brings ruin. From that day on, Cedric changed his ways. He stopped overcharging for his goods and began helping those in need. Though the pot's magic was gone, the kindness it inspired continued to grow. The real treasure. Arlo's life returned to normal, but he didn't mind. The villagers, inspired by his generosity, began helping one another. They shared food, repaired each other's homes, and cared for the sick. The village became happier and more united than ever. One evening, as Arlo was tending to his field, he thought he saw a faint golden glow in the sky. Smiling to himself, he whispered, "Thank you, little pot. Your magic lives on in our hearts." And so, Arlo and his village thrived, not because of a magic pot, but because of the magic of kindness and community.